Yalta, where a famous conference was held. Yalta, on the Black Sea coast. Melodia is a good name for a record shop. Melodia. Мясо is meat, which you can eat Bulgarian style at the Sofia restaurant. The Россия is the name of one of Moscow's biggest hotels, and it's also a popular cinema, Россия. And this newspaper is Известия. Известия. Ялта, Мелодия, Мясо. София, Россия, Известия. The next letter is not the number 61, but the letter U, different from the E sound. U, E, U. Вы means you. Вы. Выход, exit. Выход. Lifty means more than one lift. Lifty. Сувениры, souvenirs. Сувениры. Продукты, food products. Продукты. Фрукты, fruit. Вы, выход, лифты. Сувениры, продукты, фрукты. And our last letter today is a modified version of one we've had before. When you put two dots over the letter ye, it changes to yo. Yo. It's not a letter you see much of, but it occurs in Березка, the name of foreign currency shops in the Soviet Union. It actually means birch tree. Березка. Another tree, one which Russians decorate at New Year, is Yolka, a spruce. Yolka. The basis of many Russian winter sports, like ice fishing, is lёд, ice, lёд. And you fly Aeroflot in a самолёт, aeroplane, самолёт. Березка, ёлка, лёд, самолёт. So the alphabet is now nearly complete. Next time, the final 6 steps. Meanwhile, a riddle for cinema fans. When is a ye not a ye? When it's a...
Yo. Yo. Yo, 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 yo. Потемкин.
Potemkin was, of course, a film by the Russian director Sergei Eisenstein, who will be returning to later in the series, when we take a look at the Soviet cinema, Советское кино. But now, Советская пресса, the Soviet press.
Tatiana went hunting for newspapers at one of Moscow's many newspaper kiosks. You already know the word for newspaper, газета, not to be confused with journal, magazine, journal.
Tatiana asked for the magazine Искусство кино, the art of the cinema, but they only have the Bulgarian version. Also mentioned is Moscow News, the Soviet-produced English-language paper. Listen again for «У вас есть?»
А журналы, помните? Их дают всего...
Пограничник?
Скажите, пожалуйста, у вас есть правда?
Есть.
У вас есть известия?
Нет.
Скажите, пожалуйста, у вас есть журнал «Искусство кино»?
Искусство кино, вот болгарское, да?
Можно посмотреть?
Киноискусство, пожалуйста.
Это болгарский журнал.
Болгарский.
У вас есть Moscow News?
Есть.
Можно посмотреть?
Пожалуйста.
Сколько стоит газета?
6 копеек.
Это и это. Сколько стоит?
41 копейка.
41 копейка.
41.
Пожалуйста.
As Tatiana quickly gathered that kiosk specialized in foreign newspapers and magazines, she went on to ask which languages were on sale. На английском языке, in the English language. На датском языке, in Danish. На французском языке, in French. На итальянском языке, in Italian.
Скажите, пожалуйста, у вас есть газеты на английском языке?
На английском вот трибуна, Канадан трибуну.
Да. А на датском языке?
На датском.
Спасибо. Есть газеты на французском языке?
Юманите. Драпо руж.
Спасибо. А есть газета на итальянском языке?
Унита.
Унита, можно?
Да, пожалуйста.
Спасибо. Это тоже.
41, 20, 61, 51 копейка.
Спасибо большое.
For other newspapers of the capitalist press, Tatiana would have had to ask at a hotel patronized by foreigners, since they're not on sale at ordinary newspaper stands. But Russians are avid readers of newspapers and magazines of all kinds. Come snow, come shine.
Будет день горести, может быть скорости. Дай мне Бог дождаться встречи с ней. И скажу каждому, был день однажды мой, и я достиг того, чего хотел. И я достиг того, чего хотел. И я достиг того, чего хотел.
The most widely circulated newspaper in the Soviet Union today is
Правда.
Truth, the official mouthpiece of the Communist Party's Central Committee. Every day, 11 million copies roll off the presses. It has the largest circulation of any newspaper in the world, with an estimated readership of 50 million. The Pravda publishing house employs 13,000 people in Moscow alone. 45 other towns in the Soviet Union print it, and in the far east of the USSR, they receive it by satellite. The Soviet Union's second most influential newspaper is
Известие.
News, the official organ of the government itself. The slight differences between newspapers reflect different groups and their aspirations. The daily newspaper of the trades unions is,
Труд.
meaning labor.
Красная звезда.
Red Star is the newspaper of the armed forces.
Комсомольская правда.
Truth of the Young Communist League, Komsomol, the young person's Pravda.
Советский спорт.
Soviet Sport,
Неделя.
meaning week, is the Sunday supplement of Izvestia,
Крокодил.
a satirical magazine full of send-ups of Soviet bureaucracy and inefficiency, as well as cartoons satirizing Western governments.
Советский экран.
The Cinema magazine,
Новый мир.
New World, the most respected literary journal, and
Иностранная литература.
Foreign Literature, contains a digest of recent permissible foreign novels and short stories, and is one of the most sought-after subscriptions. To name just a few, for there are nearly 8,000 national and republic newspapers in 57 languages, and nearly 1,000 magazines in the Soviet Union. On the face of it, an enormous range of choice, but only 5% of the newspapers are available through the newsstands of the state press.
Союз печать.
So, there are always disappointed customers.
Правда, нет еще?
Уже кончилось.
Кончилось?
Венгерская газета есть? Или журнал?
The weekly television and radio Times
Говорит и показывает Москва.
sells out fast, and there are queues every day for
Вечерняя Москва.
the Moscow evening paper, which contains the latest details of entertainments, weather, and sport. Indeed, the only way to be sure of a copy of some papers is through subscription.
Подписка.
Your newspaper is then delivered by post. One paper that's difficult to buy at a newsstand is,
Литературная газета.
as its name suggests, it contains articles on literature as well as reviews of cinema, television, and foreign affairs. But most importantly, perhaps, articles on various social issues. In fact, it's the only paper that conducts its own public opinion polls. It also treats sensitive subjects like juvenile delinquency, alcoholism, and consumer dissatisfaction with more than usual frankness, the nearest thing to investigative journalism. In general, the Soviet press, while far from free in the Western sense, campaigns more vigorously on local issues than is generally realized. Pravda gets 500,000 letters a year from readers, of which 10,000 are printed, and these, as well as party directives, often prompt exposures of minor bribery, corruption, and inefficiency. Political agitation, molding public opinion to party policy, has long been the core of Leninist doctrine on the role of the press. The newspaper, Lenin instructed, is not only a collective propagandist and a collective agitator, but also a collective organizer. And though Pravda in particular carries no advertising, the press is not slow to advertise itself. Even if, with papers selling on average at 2 kopecks a time, there's no problem with sales.
We'll be returning to the subject of what Russians read later in the series, as well as dealing more fully with the business of Russian shopping. And there is more information about both in the book that accompanies the series.
Таня, можно посмотреть?
Да, пожалуйста. До свидания.
Спасибо, до свидания.
До свидания.
До свидания.
Свидание.
Спасибо, до свидания.
До свидания.